Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Kirk Ball. Kirk is the Chief Information Officer of Giant Eagle, a 104-year-old supermarket chain that earns roughly $10 billion in annual revenue. Kirk's been in his role for roughly 3.5 years, and he runs all things digital at the company. I look forward to hearing more about his strategic priorities, how he manages a largely virtual team, and where he sees innovation in the future at a company like Giant Eagle. Prior to his time with the company, Kirk was the CIO of the Christ Hospital Health Network. Kirk, welcome to Technovation. It's great to speak with you today.
Great. It's nice to be here, Peter. Thank you for having me.
I've really been looking forward to this conversation. Well, let's begin, Kirk, with your role in your company. You are the Chief Information Officer of Giant Eagle. And for those who may be less familiar with Giant Eagle, can you take a couple of minutes and provide an overview of the business, please?
Yeah, sure. It's a wonderful company that I've had the pleasure to be a part of the last 2.5 years. Giant Eagle is a multi-channel retailer. We have grocery stores, we have pharmacies, we have convenience stores, and we also sell fuel. We operate, we're what we would call a regional gem. So we operate from Maryland over through Indiana with those different formats. And we think those formats complement each other very, very nicely, especially when you layer over top of that, pretty robust loyalty program that really spreads across all those different channels. So a multi-billion-dollar retailer, privately held. We've been in existence for 80 plus years. I think it's 85 or 86 years now, going on, continuing to grow. And so it's been a great experience. And as I mentioned, I've been there about 2.5 years, and boy, we've been moving fast. We're going through transformation in the technology space, and it's been a great ride, been a ton of fun. I really enjoy those transformation opportunities. Certainly the team had done a lot of great things prior to me getting there, and we've done some additional things since I've been there. I'm really proud of where we're at.
Yeah, well, looking forward to dive into some of those details. Let's talk about your role, if we can, Kirk. You, of course, as you mentioned, and as I did as well, you're the Chief Information Officer. What falls within your purview as CIO?
Pretty much everything that's related to technology at Giant Eagle. So whether it be analytics, CISO, software development, delivery, platforms, data centers, managing cloud platforms, et cetera. So network. So a broad, endpoint compute, desktops, laptops, mobile devices, et cetera. Field service maintenance. So as we have to service technology in stores. So it's a pretty broad brush set of responsibilities, but I've got a lot of great team members that I work with that have helped us do a pretty good job.
Take a moment, if you would, Kirk, to talk about the structure of the IT organization. Do you have members of your team that are aligned with different parts of the organization? Is it more centralized? Talk a bit about how your team is structured.
Yeah, look, I would say, well, first of all, we don't have a corporate office, so we are a distributed virtual organization to start with. And the way that we're structured is we have teams, I would say, primarily at the application layer, that are really aligned around specific business units. So we have a team that really services and focuses and builds expertise on the supply chain area of our business. We have a group that focuses on the retail operations portion of our business. We have a group that focuses on HR, finance, I'll say back office types of solutions. So we have folks that, focus on merchandising. So when it comes to specific key areas of our business, at least at the application discipline, we have folks that work to really hone in and are structured and aligned, if you will, to service those particular key business units. And once you get to a certain level, we have what I'll say are common services. So whether it's networking, whether it's endpoint compute, whether it's data centers, whether it's platforms, databases, middleware, those teams really service all of those different. They service the enterprise as a whole and all those specific business units, and so they sit in more of a common services kind of a structure wrapped around a technology discipline as opposed to being aligned specifically to a particular area of the business. So I'd say it's a hybrid for all intents and purposes.
And you mentioned the fact that yours is distributed in as much as it's a virtual team, that the even at the executive level, of course, which you are a part of, it's not as though you're all in the same headquarters as businesses once were almost always the case. In fact, you were a relatively early adopter of a primarily virtual model, even doing away with a headquarters or head office. Talk a bit about how that's worked, Kirk, and how you stimulate so a culture without some of the usual mechanisms to help foster it, of simply people having a lot of accidental collisions and reasons to be together and that sort of thing. What are some of your insights there?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot there. I'll try to be brief, but there's a lot to cover there. Yeah, look, when I started, we had been working as an enterprise virtually as the pandemic was kind of at its height. The enterprise decided to go, and I had not yet joined. The enterprise decided to go temporarily virtual. And I've been there about 2.5 years. About 2 months prior to my joining, we decided to go totally virtual. So we shut down our corporate office and decided that permanently we were going to go into a virtual nature. Certainly, one of the things that afforded us the opportunity to do in the technology space and really across our business is to start to really look at the world as our oyster when it comes to finding and acquiring talent. If you don't have to focus on, trying to get folks to move to a particular location, Pittsburgh's a great town. I love Pittsburgh. But if you have the flexibility to have a corporate, have a virtual environment, you can start to hire around the planet. And folks get that flexibility, and that opens up a lot of avenues. It opens a lot of touch points with really world-class talent. And certainly we had a lot of world-class talent, but now you don't have to seek world-class talent out and then try to convince somebody to move somewhere where they might already have a life that's going in a place that they enjoy, and their family might, all their family might be there and they want to stay there. So that was a huge benefit for us. And we subsequently have started to cast a very wide net, pretty much global. We just opened a captive in Bangalore and have become a global technology team. Look, I think one of the things that really helps with that, though, is I think it's very important that the teams that you work with, your team members, that collectively as an organization, from a business perspective and a technology perspective, you have a really strong vision. You have a really strong concrete strategy on how you're going to achieve that vision, all the way down to the specific initiatives that you're going to spin up over a 3 to 5 year window to be able to deliver that strategy, which ladders up to that vision. And so we have done that internally. Our business partners have put together a 3 to 5 year strategy that's pretty detailed. Subsequently, in parallel, at the same time, we started to work in the technology space to put together a corresponding technology strategy that laddered right up to that business strategy. So one, it was a great opportunity for us to partner up with folks in other disciplines, whether it be retail operations or merchandising or marketing or back office, and certainly get a glimpse and start to collaborate with them on their strategy, and then help them understand and partner with them on what solutions from a technology perspective are we going to put in place to help them accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. And then clearly what we were able to do is we were able to take that vision and that detailed strategy with detailed initiatives and specific timeframes, and we were able to then consistently communicate on a very frequent basis with the team members within the technology space to say, hey, here's what we're trying to accomplish, and here's why, from a business perspective, we're trying to accomplish the implementation of these solutions. And, I think the thing that it's also done is it's really given our technology team members an opportunity to understand on a regular basis how what they do every day, how does it contribute to what we're trying to accomplish at a business level? Because the vision and the linkage between the business strategy and the technology strategy, business initiatives and technology initiatives, it's there, it's crystal clear. And we've communicated that. We consistently communicate that to our team members. We keep score according to how well we're progressing against our strategy and our deliverables and our projects. And it's a great way for everybody to start to understand, well, this is how what I do contributes to the success of the organization. And that, really gets people engaged. It raises the engagement level to a place that is really, really impactful from a cultural perspective. And then the last thing I'll mention is, as we were kind of in parallel with our business peers, as we were putting together the technology strategy, we really focused on allowing many of the team members in the technology space to contribute to the maturation, the development of that technology strategy. So it starts to become ours and not mine. And I think it's very, very effective when people have an opportunity to contribute to the development of strategy. They have a voice. And so then it becomes a collective owned by the technology group, and you get a little bit more invested. You become a little bit more engaged, right? Because you have your thumbprints on this particular strategy. And that was very, very impactful. So those were a couple of things that I would say.
It's a great overview, and I love that vision truly to connect what you're doing so explicitly with the plans and needs and priorities of the rest of the organization as well. Can you talk a little bit further about some of the substance of the strategy, some of the areas that you and the team are driving forward, especially now that you kind of look ahead to 2023? What are some areas of priority?
Well, I would say all areas. It seems like someday we've lit all the candles at once. But yeah, look at clearly making sure that our data is really well managed as a foundation that services not only the maturing analytics insights work that we're doing, but also the work that we're doing around implementation of new, more modern technology platforms, such as in the merchandising space. You have to have really robust and solid data foundations. So we're spending a lot of time on getting our foundation solid as it relates to data. We're putting in some more advanced systems in key areas. I mentioned merchandising, technology space. And then, we're putting in and really shoring up and improving the foundation in some of our back office solutions. So we have two ERP initiatives that we have going on. One is nearing completion, and that's for our convenience store business, which is very important to our overall business strategy. And then we're putting in an Oracle ERP solution for the enterprise as a whole. So I would bucket the sets of work, certainly some process improvement, solidifying an implementation of ITIL, for example, and some of the basic foundational process work, developing a service catalog, setting service level objectives for those services that are defined in that service catalog, and then measuring on a monthly basis, continuing to focus on how we're improving the quality of the service that we deliver. Then certainly improving and maturing the way in which we deliver projects. We have implemented a pretty robust PMO process, one that is light, that allows for agility and speed, but one that allows for effective management of projects. And we've seen significant improvement in the quality and the on-time delivery of the projects that we have been delivering. And then you've got certainly innovation. So we have a number of things from an innovation perspective that we're looking at, whether it be how to do more effective piece pick, whether it be things in the digital space, items in the digital space, or whether it be things in store. How do you bring inanimate objects to life to create a much more immersive experience? So whether it's I think one of the things I think that's really interesting to us, and we're going to start spending some more time on, is augmented reality. How do you bring the shelves to life so as people are shopping, they're getting additional information about the particular products or items that they're looking at, right? More than just seeing a price or whether or not it's on sale. But if I can bring that object to life to understand, well, here's some recipes, here's things I can do with that, right? Here's where this particular product was sourced from. You can start to give a much more richer experience. And I think if you can animate those inanimate objects in a store, I think you can do certainly a ton of things. How do you make sure that you have product on shelf whenever it's needed, at the right time, at the right location? So these are all problems that are probably pretty common for retailers. but certainly, challenges and opportunities and things we're looking at doing as well.
Great examples and very innovative things. It sounds like you and the team are focused on there. I also wanted to, as we talk about talent and people and collaboration and so on, I was fascinated to learn from you that you've started a global capability center in Bangalore. Talk a bit about the vision for that, as well as how that's going and its contribution to the larger organization.
Yeah, look, I mentioned earlier we've grown into a global technology group. We have a lot of great team members in North America, but certainly there's a war for talent in North America. And I mentioned earlier, as we have implemented a virtual aspect of our business, now the world becomes your oyster, and so you can look for talent anywhere on the planet. And certainly one of the places there is a ton of really, really quality talent is in India, and specifically we have focused and spent time standing up a global capability center in Bangalore. If you just look at the statistics, I'm going to get this wrong, but if you look at the number of students in the engineering discipline that are graduated from India, and you compare that to the number of engineering information technology students that are graduated in the US, just statistically, the numbers are massively different. I was trying to find this on the internet the other day, but they're almost an order of magnitude different in terms of the numbers. So we certainly graduate and have a ton of great talent in the US. There's a lot of great schools here, but it's volume, it's statistics, right? And so we decided in order to expand our search for talent, we decided to stand up a global capability center in Bangalore. The other thing it affords us the opportunity to do is we have gotten the teams now to really mesh and figure out how to effectively manage work between the two groups. You can now extend the day. So instead of getting 8 to 10 hours out of your team members in North America, you can now start to get a greater amount of time during a calendar day where I'm working 16 to 20 hours. And so the flywheel of delivery starts to increase significantly. So those are really kind of our two major reasons for opening up a global capability center. And so far, it's worked out really, really well. We got a lot of great team members in Bangalore, or the two groups, our team members in North America, team members in Bangalore, coming together very, very nicely. Certainly, you have to manage just different cultural expectations, small things that you just don't. They're both great sets of people, but we all have our cultures that we grew up with and how we do our work and how we search for a job or how we accept the job, the expectations that we have for employers. And yeah, it's worked out really, really well. I'm really happy to see how we're blending and creating a global technology organization. It's been fantastic so far.
Very interesting. Appreciate that overview. I also have been fascinated, Kirk, about your background. You've worked for a diverse array of companies. I won't list them all, but it includes Reynolds and Reynolds, a technology organization. You work for Kroger, certainly a business that rhymes with your own, so a bit more similar to the current post. But immediately prior to this one, you were also the CIO of the Christ Hospital Health Network in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so a healthcare role as well. And I wonder what lessons you draw from the diversity of experiences that you've had, whether it's perhaps some of the commonalities across very different kinds of companies, or even what you've learned about yourself in terms of your ability to shape and mold your own career in a variety of different ways as you've progressed.
Yeah, it's interesting. I could probably wax eloquent for the next 3 days on that topic, but look, a couple things I'll tell you is I think challenging yourself to experience diversity of business models, challenging yourself to interact with different types of customers, whether it be folks that are retailers that have that pressure of every day delivering for customers in a store, whether it be physicians that have that pressure every day of helping customers/patients get better, whether it be in a manufacturing discipline, making sure that your production figures are hitting the quality that you need, the volume that you need. All of those have helped me to see things and have a broader perspective on the way that I approach the opportunities in which I've worked. And then the other thing that I'll tell you is, look, I think, and I would say this has been an area of me maturing over the course of my career. I'm a pretty competitive person, and sometimes in the past, when I first started out in the industry, I was very competitive and wanted to make sure that I was growing my career. And I have matured and grown dramatically to see the value of making sure that everybody is growing their career. And I would liken it. I'm gonna probably reveal my age a little bit, but I would liken it to the difference between the first 3 years when Michael Jordan came into the league and he was scoring 30 to 40 points a night, but his teams weren't winning championships because it was all about him. And you watched Magic Johnson and Larry Bird come into the league, and immediately they got 5 players, they got a whole team to play collectively as a team. And the 80s were championships between the Lakers and the Celtics. And you take that metaphor to the professional world, and you go, you know what? Those team members that help others around them be better and they raise the whole team up, those are the team members that really can create significant value proposition for the enterprise, for the team, and they're going to get plenty of opportunities. And I made that transition early on in my career, and boy, I'll tell you what, it has been so rewarding. I've had lots of folks help me and give me advice in my career, and it's been wonderful to be able to do the same and help others raise their game a little bit and be just a small part of helping them, succeed. And so those would be the two things: that diversity of perspective and thought, putting yourself in challenging situations and forcing yourself to learn different business models, different ways to apply technology to those different business models, and making sure that you're a Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, and you're making the whole team around you. You're helping them do whatever the team needs to do.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. I love the analogies as well. I wanted to ask you about trends. We've already talked about a number of them, including the creative use of augmented reality, for example. I wonder, as you look to the future, Kirk, are there other trends that excite you that are beginning to make their way onto your roadmap?
Yeah, look, I think this continued journey, especially for retailers, of how we blend the physical and the digital experience for customers to enrich the in-store physical experience to be more animated, more interactive, along with the digital experience to make it feel almost seamless, that the enterprise knows me. They know my taste, they know my preferences, whether I'm in a digital experience with an enterprise or whether I'm in a physical experience with an enterprise, right? I think there's a lot of things that you can do, really deepening personalization in a way that adds value to customers. Look, I think our guests are, at least in the retail space, are much like water and electricity. They will flow to the path of least resistance. So if we can create a seamless, frictionless experience for them, I think it continues to set Giant Eagle apart. We give them a pleasing experience where it's not a friction-heavy experience. So things certainly like augmented reality, I think, are incredibly interesting. I think this continued journey along the AI and ML space really helping enterprises and our business partners see around the corner, right? And I really think that's one of the key things I think that AI and ML can help us do, is to see around the corner. What are evolving customer trends? What's the data? There's all kinds of stories being told in the data and the point of sale transactions and the interactions we get from customers. How do we effectively listen to those stories and make sure that they don't go unheard? And so I think this ability to listen to those stories, what's the data telling us, and really give that information to the enterprise and to those that we work with that in other disciplines. How do we help them see around the corner? How do we see around the corner? Right. So certainly, I think spending a lot of time with third parties, whether it be private equity or VCs in venture capital firms around the country, what are they investing their dollars in? Right. Help us understand what new capabilities are coming that we can potentially apply to the problems that we're trying to solve. So I certainly think the AI and ML space, data, managing your data very, very effectively so you can hear those stories. I think the augmented reality capability, and I think computer vision to help you really see what's going on where you don't have physical eyes. But how do I make sure that I have product on shelf? right? And how can potentially I leverage computer vision to help me see more effectively what's going on in whatever area I'm trying to manage, whether it be a distribution center or a store, to make sure that I'm creating that frictionless, seamless experience for customers.
Great insights and a lot for us to keep our eyes open for as time goes on. You already revealed a number of things that have been difference makers for you, Kirk, in your career. Thinking like a team, being more like Larry Bird or Magic Johnson, and surrounding yourself with team members that help each other be better. You talked about the sanctity of diversity of perspectives and thoughts, and exposing yourself to different business models as well. Are there any other kind of difference makers along the lines of your rise that you would call out as helpful, perhaps for others who might wish to walk in your footsteps?
Yeah, and sometimes it's a challenging high wire act to execute, but I think transparency with those that you work with and transparency with your teammates. Why is our business a set of objectives changing? Why are we trying to go a certain way? Making sure that there's transparency and people understand what were the motivating factors for a particular decision being made, as much as you can talk about. I think giving people context for the reason decisions are made, the direction that we're going. I think giving people context and transparency is massively important to the teams that you work with. And I've always worked to really try and do that. And it's made a difference. I think it's really helped me create a really good connection with the teams that I work with. It builds trust. It builds a willingness to understand that there will be some things that we can't talk about, but if I can talk about it, I'm going to talk about it to help give you context so we can kind of rally around the direction we're trying to go. So I think it's massively important. It's subtle, but it's really, really important in my opinion.
Well, Kirk Ball, thank you so much for joining me today. What an interesting conversation covering the remarkable work you and your team are doing at Giant Eagle, a bit more about your career path as well, and some of the insights you garnered along the way. I really appreciate you sharing those insights with me and with this audience.